Good morning and welcome back. Now I want you to know that I didn't make the title clickbaity. It's true what I'm trying to tell you here, what I'm trying to share with you here. I didn't know this. I'm 33 years old and I've always been interested in homesteading and farming and orcharding, and nobody that I've been around and learned from ever told me about this secret or technique to better pick your cherries, you know. But before we get into that point, into the bulk of the video, I just want to give you an extra tip, which is when is the best time to pick your cherries. And the answer is now, around 5-6 a.m. Yeah, it's that early. And the reason for that is the sun is out, you can see what you're doing when you're picking your fruits, but at the same time the rays, the UV light hasn't beaten down the fruit to the point where it's soft and mushy and just sad, you know. Now the flesh is still stiff and the skin is tight on the fruit, so the best time is now. If you're a farmer that goes to the market and sells its product, you want to go to the market by 9 a.m. So you pick them between 5 and 6, and by 9 a.m. you're there, because that's going to give you the best looking, the best quality cherries on the stands over there. If you're not, still pick them at this time in the morning, and then you can keep them 5 to 6, 7 days in a fridge or a root cellar somewhere where temperature is cold constantly, in case you want to process them later, because we've all been there, you know. The garden, no matter how small or big it is, many things happen at the same time. Nature has her own schedule that we need to jump when she says jump. So you just pick your stuff, put it away, and then process them whenever you have time. Okay, so here's the deal. When you pick your cherries, and this applies to anything in the cherry family, bitter cherries, sour cherries, this is a sour cherry by the way, sweet cherries, May cherries, whatever, yeah? When you pick your cherries, you want to pick it without the tail. Why? Because when you pluck the tail from the branch, or should I say from the spur, you create a wound, and in that wound a very nasty disease is going to come in called Monilinia fructicola. Now, I'm going to call it brown rot because that's what everybody calls it, and I skipped Latin classes and it's going to take me 5 more takes to say that word every single time. But brown rot is going to get inside of it because brown rot is on the fruit tree all the time, on the exterior of it. When you create that wound, it gets into the fruiting area, meaning that next year's crop is going to be affected by brown rot, and then 2 years from now crop is going to be affected by your brown rot. But by picking it like this, just plucking it without the tail, you ensure that, one, you're not going to infect your tree with more brown rot. Second of all, you're going to ensure that next year and 2 years from now's crop are going to be safe and abundant. Now I'm going to go a bit deeper into this because there's a lot to say here, and I need to show you, but stick around if you have 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes, because this is very interesting. Let me bring you close. Now the branch of the cherry tree or sour cherry tree is composed of a couple of segments. This here between my hands is this year's growth, which is 30 to 35, even 40 centimeters. So let's say a foot and a bit. On this top new growth, you're not going to have fruits this year, but what you're going to have are already growing buds or fruiting buds for next year. I'll bring the camera closer to show you. This is this year's growth, yeah? The next segment down the line is the same, about 30 centimeters, yeah? And you have fruits. Last year's fruiting buds became fruits, yeah? Not much, but you have a couple of fruits on this segment. Again, about a foot, 30 centimeters. Next, we move down along the segment again, and we have 2 years ago's growth. And this is becoming, or this is called the multi-annual branch. Now, on this branch, you start having fruiting spurs, yeah? Fruiting spurs, that's how I learned about them, and I'll show them to you in a second. And this is a fruiting spur, as you can see here, yeah? This is the place where the big clusters of cherries grow in the second year of evolution. Now if you're gonna do this, remove your fruiting spur, because you want to take beautiful cherries to the market so your customers are happy, you're basically robbing yourself from next year and 2 years from now harvest and abundance and health for the tree. Okay? Just like with the tail, by removing the tail you create a wound. The problem is that if you remove the spur, not only do you lose your harvest for the next coming years, but also you remove enough spurs and you're gonna cancel the ability of this branch to produce leaves. If the branch stops producing leaves, then it becomes a liability for the tree because it only sucks the sap and it doesn't add anything to the commons. So then you're going to have to remove the branch, correct? Okay. As you can see, this fruiting spur did its job and now it has buds for next year. Yeah, you see the pointy, spiky things? That's buds, fruiting buds for next year. But as I said, if we remove enough fruiting buds, then the branch is not going to create leaves anymore. In order for us to prune this branch properly and have a viable future harvest, we need to cut somewhere after a fruiting bud. So we would need to make a cut here in order for a new branch to sprout in front of a viable fruiting bud, fruiting spur. If we don't have this fruiting spur because we kept removing it to take it to the market, or because that's how we know, then we're not going to have a viable future branch. So slowly we're going to start killing our fruit tree because it's just not going to have the opportunity to create new branches. So keep that in mind, okay? Okay, so if you stuck around until now, let's recap really quick. You pick your cherries in the morning early, between 5 and 6, because they have the best chance of lasting the longest. You go to the market by 9 a.m. because you want them to be still in that like tight skin and stiff flesh. Okay. Then when you pick them, you don't do what I did here, because you have some romantic memories of your grandma's when she used to pick the cherries and put them behind your ear like this. No, you leave the tails on the branches. You pick them without the tails, because in the wound created by removing the tail, the brown rot gets in and it's going to infect your future harvest. Second of all, you don't remove the big clusters like I've shown you, and I'm not going to mistreat my tree anymore, the big clusters that are attached to the fruiting spur, because those fruiting spurs on second year, third year, fourth year branches, they not only do they produce every year, but at the same time they're responsible for the capacity of that branch to produce leaves. So if you keep harvesting and removing all of those fruiting spurs, then you cancel the ability of your branch to produce leaves. Then that branch is basically dead. You need to cut it because it's going to be susceptible to infections and all kind of diseases, and also it just sucks away the sap from the tree, becomes a liability. In order to create a new branch, because this one is compromised, you need at least one good fruiting spur in front of which to make the cut so the new branch starts up next season, let's say next spring. So keep this in mind. I didn't know all of these things until about a year ago, and that changed my whole let's say just cherry production, cherry, sour cherry, bitter cherry production. And why wouldn't you? Why would you rob yourself from the future harvest? Why would you rob yourself from the health of your trees? Listen to me. There's many ways to do the same thing, and we get stuck in our own ways and we think we know everything. Well, we don't know everything. I've been around farmers and homesteaders and orchardists, and it's not from a lack of desire for them to share this with me. They just didn't know. So you don't know what you don't know. Now I'm sharing this with you, and some of you are going to say, well, if I go with the cherries to the market without the tails, nobody's going to buy them for me. You're wrong. You are so wrong. You know why? Because people these days are educated. They're not idiots. There's more people who know about regenerative farming and restoring the biodiversity of the planet than not. There are more people who want to do the right thing by nature than not. There are more people who want to eat regenerative, ecological fruits and vegetables and food as medicine than not. So when they come to your stall and they say, why do you have cherries without the tail? That's weird. You educate them. Tell them exactly the same thing I've shared with you. Hey, listen, I pick in my cherry like this because this is the right way, because this is going to keep my tree healthy, and this is going to give me future healthy harvests full of nutrients and without any brown rot, for example. And they're going to be like, wow, do you treat all of your farming aspects like this? What about those apples? Do you treat them the same? Yes, same principle. What about that cheese that you made from goat milk? Do you treat your goats the same way? Yes. So this opens up the whole conversation. Now you need to get outside of your comfort zone if you're a scratchy farmer, like we all tend to be. Yeah, we want to be away in the middle of nowhere without dealing with people. But if you deal with people, share your knowledge. That's the best way to get them close to you and for them to see your point of view. Yeah, do what's right for your trees, do what's right for your animals, do what's right for your future and for yourself by doing all of the above mentioned. It's so easy to get lost in the things that we know, but remember, we're not born with all the knowledge, and new information is put out there all the time. You would be surprised how many things you don't know. I am amazed and surprised every single day of how many things I don't know, and I just wanted to share this with you because to many it seems so what's the word I'm looking for, so small. But for somebody who earns a living from this, for somebody who loves what they're doing, who loves nature and their orchard, their garden, this is huge. That being said, thank you very much for watching. Click and subscribe. You know, it doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It doesn't get better than free. Free is the best thing on the planet. So give me something. Yeah, the law of reciprocity. I shared something with you, you do something for me. Click like and subscribe. Okay? And also share with somebody who will benefit from this. Trust me, not many people know this information. I've asked around and I've been around good-hearted, experienced farmers and orchardists, and a lot of them didn't know. Most of them didn't know. Share this with somebody, even if they have one cherry tree, sour cherry tree, whatever cherry tree in the backyard, one of them. Help them so that one tree feeds their family and gives them the nutrition that they need and the vitamins. Okay? Okay. I'll see you next time. Take care. Take care of your cherry trees. Don't make me come to you. Bye.